Okay, perfect. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So a couple of topics that we want to cover today. Like I wrote out an email, so I guess the first one, and we spoke about this last week, but there's the app competition that still has no entries. So I'm just putting it out there because, at this point, even if you just submit, even if it's not a complete app, even if it's an idea, you have a 100% chance of winning the bottle. And it's a good way for others to learn how to use table queries and aggregation. So, if you've started using them, if you have it in your app, or if you have an idea of how it could be useful, I think it would be a good chance to submit an entry. Somebody here, this is from the Tulip team. So John leads Tulip education. Actually, he already has a water bottle, so we're not going to ship it to him. But if somebody else wants to submit it, I highly encourage it, because it's a good, yeah. I think it's good. Well, one, just to win the school water bottle, and then to kind of share, and it helps you think about and consider other use cases with table queries and aggregations. Any questions about that, by the way? And if at any point anybody has any questions, feel free to stop me. Okay. So I guess the other thing that we wanted to go over today is, I don't know if folks have seen, but release 205 went live on Monday. And there were a couple of interesting updates in this release. So the first one is the record history widget. So I'm not sure if anybody here is using it, but the record history widget is basically a way to view the whole history of a record from when it was created. You can see, you have full traceability into all the values, who changed them, whether they changed from a specific app at a station or from the table interface. You have kind of full history of this table record. So we added a couple of interesting functionality to the record history widget. So I think I have it here. Actually, if it's ready to go, I can just show you guys real quick. No, but I can just add one. So here in embed, you can see that there's record history. And then when we open it up, you can see that, you can link a placeholder. So for example, let's see, I'll try doing it real quick. See if is it this? No, but anyway, sorry, I wasn't going to show it. But basically, you just get a full history of the language. So the things that we want to cover that I think are quite interesting because they make building apps a lot more streamlined and a lot better are some new trigger actions. So you can see them listed here. It's 3 new ones. So the first one is reset all app variables to defaults. So it kind of exactly what it sounds like, so if I click this button, it just resets everything back to the default. So it's quite convenient if you have an app with lots of variables and you want to go through and clear everything, or you want to complete. It's a nice trigger to know that exists, that it just resets everything back to the default. For this variable here, its default is hello world. That's why if we restore it back, it goes back to hello world because that's the default value. The other one is save all app data. So this will generate a new completion in the database and clear step duration. So how you have visibility into how much time has been spent in each step. This way it stores it and clears it out. It clears the time, doesn't clear the variables, or it doesn't move to a different step. So unlike a completion where it completes and goes back to the first step. If you save all app data, it just stays exactly where you are. And you can see here the timer on the step resets every time I click it. But we stay exactly where we are. And here we will see a bunch of completions because it's storing all the data here into our completion step. Okay, and then the other one that I think is quite interesting is the clear all record placeholders. So essentially, I think all of you have started using table record placeholders. So once you click this, it doesn't delete the data in the tables, but it just clears it from the app record placeholder. So, you know, I select two, I put them into the record placeholder, I clear them, and then you can see it just empties out the record placeholder. So this is a good way, you know, when you're building out apps, instead of having to complete or change different, you know, you can just add this trigger wherever you want, whether it's on step open or something. It just clears all the record placeholders. Okay, does anybody have any questions about those new triggers?
Yeah, so that last one, does it actually, it creates an entry in the completion table, does it, even though you're not completing?
The last one, this one here, the save all app data.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be. I don't know if I changed something.
It's like it creates a snapshot, does it, without?
Yep, yeah, exactly. So app save all app data, here it is. Save all app data, and it just you stay where you are. Oh no, sorry, I was changing the wrong button. It's here. Yeah, I don't know why it's. Let's see. So if I put it in here, I go to app, save all app data, save it. Yeah, it should create a new completion in here. And just rename the button. Let me see. Why is it not? I think I'm doing something incorrectly with the version, or like the. No, it's correct. Yeah, so this one, all these ones here were generated in the US office hours.
Okay.
But yeah, I just have a setting incorrect. But yeah, it does, you know, store all the variables that you have.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and then the other thing that is I think it's pretty interesting, and you know, oftentimes folks just kind of leave to the defaults is the instance settings for the player. So if you navigate as an account owner, if you navigate over to just settings and then player, you can see that you have some things that you can, some toggles that you can control that kind of change how the player behaves. So for example, the first one is the mask badge ID on login. So if I log out and here, if I enter my badge, because this toggle is enabled, it doesn't show the ID. If I disable it, it shows me the ID that I entered. So, you know, it's a pretty simple thing, but I think it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
This show error, here I'm just showing an error, and you can see that it pops up like a toast, but the problem is that it can kind of interfere with the interface. So if you want to just enable this, now click show error, and it doesn't show up here in the app. So, you know, you need to use this carefully, because if you know, if you need the error message to show up and the user to see it, then it hides them. So use it with caution, I guess, but it's good to know.
So if you use that one, you have to do your own error messaging. Yeah.
No, it's also if it's an error message from something that trigger that you know, from like a machine that outputs an error message, or from if like a table, you know, you try storing data to a table record, but you don't have a table record loaded. Yeah. That's an error message. So, yeah.
So if you excuse me, if you add in a trigger that you want to show an error message, it will show up.
No, it hides it.
It hides every error message.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it hides.
Yeah, of course, it's what you do here. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So here also, for example, say I try to store whatever 1, 2, 3 in a table record. Cool one. Well, let me just do it in this one. Product, okay. But the table record is not loaded currently. You see how we get these 2 error messages. There's no record and error processing trigger. If I come here and I hide this error message, nothing shows up. Of course, this is quite dangerous because at this point we don't know that we're not storing data to the table of record. So that's why I was mentioning to use with caution. Yeah, so it hides all the error messages that, either it's like an error message like this one here that's just show error, or error messages that are generated by the player. But I guess I should point out, if you do just show message, that will show up. Yeah, so if I put this in here, you see the only one of them is showing up. The error message is not showing up, but the message itself is showing up. Okay, great. And then this is the one that I'm modified incorrectly. Okay. So this one here, basically you can hide, it's pretty similar, but you can hide app completed and app canceled messages. So if I click this button, you see that nothing shows up. Now, if I disable this toggle, you'll see that we get little toast. Again, it's something minor, but I think it's good to know that all these settings can be modified. And then the last one that I think is quite interesting is that you can log out users after X minutes of inactivity. So, if you have a bunch of tablets around your facility and you don't want the user to stay logged in if they wander off to do something else, you can have them log out after, X number of minutes. So, for example, here you'll see exactly it's already signing me out, and then I get this error message for a minute, and then this pop-up for a minute, and then it's going to just sign me out, and nobody can kind of use my user log that's logged in. Okay, were there any questions, by the way, about anything that that we covered, or anything else that kind of in this general theme that would be interesting to go over?
I've got nothing specific. That's all good.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's good. I believe Adam, you had a question, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it was mainly to do with storing of photos. I am struggling to make it work. Now it's probably more me, but let's give you some background. We want to make an app that is for health and safety incidences and environmental and near misses, that kind of thing, where the operator will take a photo of, I don't know, someone cut finger type thing.
Yeah.
But I need as part of the requirements, I need it to be stored indefinitely, for a lifetime was the actual thing I was told, but in essence, as long as humanly possible. And ideally, I'd like to be able to either store it in a SQL database is what I'm using for most of the data, or if it's easier, to store the images in Tulip, so that there's a reference to these.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I think, yeah, for sure, we can do it. I think, I mean, when does this have to be built by the way?
Well, I've as soon as possible, really. It's normally the way. The actual data side, the app itself and the data itself is built. It's just trying to link up the storage of the photos. That is the storage of the photos, which is the last bit.
Okay. I was just mentioning it because this app that was just actually we shared it yesterday, but it's going to go out in the library release next week. I think is based on what I'm understanding, it's doing almost exactly what you're describing. So share something small. Often hear people are interested in multiple photos for a single table record. So basically, if you need to take several pictures of the cut finger, you can do that So this is quite a simple app, and it's basically an album viewer in which, you can kind of go through, store a lot of photos in an album, and then switch through them like this. So just wanted to mention this because it's going to go out in the next library release, which I think is quite interesting. That being said, if you want to do it today, I guess I can get started. I can demo how to do it with storing in a table, and then I can show you quickly with a SQL database if that works for you.
Yeah, if we could have a look at, especially with the SQL database, it's quite. It just means everything's stored together then, because I've then linking Power BI is our visual of choice. So then I can just I can use the photo viewers within that, so I can have the accident details and the photos all in one place.
Okay, yeah, and you already have the SQL connector created to the database that you'd like. Oh, you do. Okay, perfect. So I'm just gonna open this from here. Let me just rename it. Let me just call it HSC so we can find it. So here, if you come in here to create a function, have you already created a function within the connector?
In essence, as long as for this example, if you just put like an ID and then the photo, all the other bits of text, it doesn't tell me to type in.
Okay, and then in here you have your query that's like insert into, and you have all that set up.
Yeah, insert into a table, the values. And then...
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Okay, great. So store image, perfect, and then you within your app, you have so say we get a text input in here. We'll call it.
I was actually using the form camera widget thing.
Okay, yeah, we can do that as well.
I'll be honest, I've tried it with both, but I liked the layout. It's quite.
Yeah, it's quite simple and easy. Actually, I like it too. You don't have to worry too much about it. It's just ID. So here we can create a new variable. We can call it HSC ID. Perfect. And then here the variable. So go ahead and create a new variable. I'll say HSC image or something like this. And then in here in the submit button, so there's a couple of places where we can put the trigger. Either we can put it on the submit button, or we can just put it on step exit. I like to put it here just so I can see it more clearly. Custom action, we'll add a trigger, and we'll just basically say run connector function. Connector will be the HSC, store image. ID will be the variable HSC ID, and the image will be HSC image. And then at that point, we can just, kind of show a message with like expression at variable HSC ID stored in table or something in DB. Okay, and did you set up something like this?
Yeah, so the main issue I was having was the actual storing of that photo, because it's a image variable, which from what I can tell is like the path to to blob storage.
Yeah.
And actually being able to insert that into a SQL table, I just get error messages, to be perfectly honest. And I was I've tried.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wasn't sure of what that image variable actually is. Is it a long string as a file path? Because it still gets upset even if I do a varchar max, and it's definitely got enough space for it to fit in, or whether it's something different. I wasn't 100% sure on that.
Yeah, to be honest, it's been a little while since I've stored an image to a SQL database. So, but in the actual table in the database, is your column text or is it an image?
It is. Well, I'll tell you now. 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure at the moment it's a varchar max. I'm pretty sure. I'll just confirm, but I think that's what it was set at. Yeah, varchar max. But obviously I don't think an image is an option as a data type for in SQL Server. You can do binary, I think. But when I was using the player to like test out the image itself is a path for blob storage, so I wasn't sure whether I could just store that path, which would work just as well, or whether it's actually the image file itself.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot, so if you do think about it, it's fine.
No. To be honest, I should know, and I used to know this because you see here how it's image URL. So, to be honest, I'm wondering more if it's something to do with like in here in the inputs. Have you tried changing this from type image to type text and switching that around?
I have, but then I cannot store a photo against that variable.
Oh, from the trigger.
From the trigger, because the trigger is looking for an image.
Yeah.
Rather annoyingly, if you do the text, it does work, but I can't link the camera to it. It's just I seem to be stuck in the middle.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean. Oh, let me try doing this. Okay. If you do two type text, then no, it still doesn't give it to you here.
Yeah, also photos don't appear in that list.
Yeah. I've seen it done before. Yeah, I'm kind of, I would recommend, I'll look into it, but in the meantime, if you could also post on community,
Yeah.
I think it'll be the best because, and once you do, I'll send it to somebody at Tulip who I know knows the answer to this, and they can certainly help out.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I will.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. It's just that well, to be perfectly frank, we used to use SQL databases a lot more before we had tables, but now with tables, everybody mostly uses there. So we're kind of getting a little bit rusty with using the connectors, but I'm still surprised because I remember there used to be a little trick to do it, which hopefully I'll come back into my mind later today.
Just out of interest, is it possible to connect Tulip to Power BI? As in the Tulip tables?
Yeah. So there's actually a really good post here in community. So I think it's Power BI. Yeah, this one here. So basically this is Stefan from Tulip. And there's this really good guide that's put together that kind of, just like, you get your table ID, you get set up with Python, you need to install a couple libraries. And then he also includes all the code here that you need. So, and then you just kind of fill it out, and then but it basically, to go back, it just then puts it back into Power BI. You run a Python script, and then it imports all the data.
Oh, right, okay. So I can run the Python script natively. I'll be honest, I've never tried that, but I will have a look at it. That might be the easier way of this. As long as the photos have got the right ID, I can just combine the two data sources in Power BI.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah. If you can do that, that'd be great. And it's like, to be honest, it's a little bit easier to like manipulate data if you keep it all in tables. You can do both as well. I mean, it's
yeah. I'll get when they post it, I can get it. So I'll just change the SQL script to output the ID, and then the ID can reference into the Tulip tables along with the photos.
Exactly.
And then cool. No, that's fine. I will. I'll try that today.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry again, I didn't have a more definitive answer for the image.
Try.
Yeah. Okay, great. Are there any other questions that folks have?
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh yeah.
About analytics.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility to make dynamic analytics? So basically the same way as you can filter the Tulip table into the app, can we filter the analytics according to some variable?
Yep. Yeah, you can do that. This is actually quite a new feature, but it's really good. Actually, it was quite interesting because we, there are, but yeah, actually, let me first show you how it's done. Then I can get into the storytelling. But say here we, okay, I'm going to create an analysis for this one here. Yeah, process completions by date. Okay, great. I can include this one. I'm going to leave it like this, just a simple analysis. And then I'm going to do basically, I'm going to add two date pickers to sort out specific dates. So I'll add an input, I'll go to date picker, and I'll call this one from. Okay, and then I'll do another one. I'll do date picker, and I'll say, I'll call it to, something like this. And now on the analysis, if you see here, once you highlight it, you have this filter. We can come in here, we can say, okay, start time is greater than or equal to variable, and you can pick whatever you like. You can, like, if you have other things that you want to tie it to, you can do that. But here I'll just say is greater than from, and I'll just do start time again, is less than or equal to variable 2. Perfect. So now in the app, if I go to the step itself, there we go. Okay, so now if I put in a couple of dates, yep, here we are, they're populating in. And then if I change this date, for example, to the 15th, you see it filters out, only shows us this one.
Mm-hmm. But can I use the same thing in a dashboard view as well?
No, you can't. So this is currently only in analytics that are embedded within apps. One thing I will mention, are you aware about that you can run the player from Chrome like this?
Yes.
Okay,
but
so
I want to make this as a tool for the personnel who is not familiar with Tulip. So I just want to give them the analytics page, and they can see the information and get the information what they want from there.
Yeah, but I was just suggesting it because if you want to create an app that's just a dashboard, it doesn't do anything. It just kind of has a lot of analyses, and you want to add filtering to it. This is a way of doing it. You know what I mean? So basically, you create a simple app that has nothing but a bunch of data analyses on it, and then, you know, you can give it to the people that need it, even if the app doesn't do anything. It's just kind of, they have the information they need.
Okay, because yeah, I saw this. There was the two topics of this about this the same topic what I asked, and both didn't have any answer to it. And I think they all both asked the same thing that I'm currently asking, to filter out
Community?
dynamically the analytics page.
Yeah, our apologies for not having answered those. Yeah, but to answer the question, it's not currently possible to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it with other ways. You know, you can create different dashboards. You know, if you want to, I don't know exactly how you want to cut up the information, but you can have different dashboards and then display them, or you know, kind of different ways. But
yeah, and tables in dashboard view as well, because the search in a table, it's not very convenient, but it should be done in analytics view, I think.
Yep. Are you familiar with yeah, like, you know, if you embed an interactive table or even a table analysis within an app, then you can add a filter to it based on a text value, so that acts like a search.
Yeah, but this is inside the app. I'm looking outside the app thing.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I guess if you want it within a dashboard, yeah, there's no way of currently doing it. But again, I think using the player from Chrome, I think, is a quite good solution. You can build a simple app that's mainly just a dashboard that people can use.
Okay, I figured something out.
Okay.
But again, product suggestion.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, and apologies for not take note to address those.
They weren't posted by me, but I just saw there were two things.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, are there any other questions that folks had? Okay, or anything interesting that you've built in the past couple of days that you think would be interesting in sharing, or? Okay.
Nothing specific with me.
Okay.
No, lots of very boring apps.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. Well, actually, the HSC one sounds pretty interesting, to be honest.
I'll be honest, it's a bit of a replica of an Excel sheet, but it just means that we can store it. Pieces of paper aren't traveling around site and get lost. So whoever's filling in can fill it in. We know who filled it in, etc. And then take some photos, and it's saved off. And then in 3 years' time, when someone needs to have a look at it, it's just pressing a few buttons, not trying to dig through filing cabinets.
Yeah.
That's a classic use case, isn't it? That's a good one.
Yeah. We've had a few. I'll be honest, what I'm kind of looking forward to is we're hopefully going to get the connectors to Catware for, what's it, an OPC connector.
OPC UA.
Yes, yeah. So once that's up and running, then we're going to have some fun. But at the moment, I'm waiting on my IT department to agree to doing it. I mean, well, let's say doing it. So we say I know they're going to do it. It's just when.
Yeah. Yeah. What kind of machines will it be connecting to?
So we have basically we like to make rivets. So we've got it's 182 machines. They're connected into Catware, and every second it updates the count. So we're kind of looking at it to maybe be a bit of like an MES system, so we know how many people can log, how many parts we make per shift. But we've also got like a green machine project where we put sensors in all of the machines, for power and temperature and pressure and those kind of things that will affect the machines. So that all gets also fed into Kepware. So we're going to see if there's anything we can do with them.
Yeah, awesome. Have you seen, there's actually a really good course that a colleague of ours at Tulip put together on machines, and maybe it's good while you're just waiting for IT, if you want. Where is it? Yeah, machine monitoring in Tulip. It's quite, I mean, I think it's about around an hour's worth of let me just see if I can. Okay, here it is. Yeah. So basically, it's, you know, machine monitoring is one of those things that it's a little bit harder to kind of you know, because like each machine is configured slightly different. But I think this course does a really good job of kind of giving you an overview of okay, like how do you actually set up machines?
My name is Pete.
And how do you process the data once you start ingesting it into it?
Yeah, because we at the moment, I'm like using one app for our master data. So we've got a different project, doesn't massively use Tulip. We're using a HMI system, but for the basically for tool life, so that we know how long a tool should last for, and we've got Kepware telling us how much it's been used. Yeah. So we should be able to like a Doom health bar type thing of saying, well, you're at 50% health, 20% health. Yeah. So when the operators come in on shift, it's like they've got an idea of a brand new tool has been put in 5 minutes ago, or it's on the brink of exploding in the machine type thing. So I'm going to use the Tulip app for controlling the master data of that, of saying what is the tool life. So people don't have to learn Python. They can go off and they just have to use a Tulip app. They can say, well, this tool lasts for 1,000 rivets or a million.
Actually, I really like that use case. I've seen it used at a facility. I think it was in Germany, something similar. And it's, you know, just like in terms of scrap that was avoided because the tools were changed, you know, preemptively and like in time. I can't remember how much it was, but it's just like you save so much, you know, because it's like you deal with one actual scrap, but then also like the time involved with removing the defective part, changing the tool itself, cleaning everything up, and everything.
Yeah, we've got so I've done this week. I've done the maths for the justification. So that's done this. It's one machine on this, but one machine runs one part largely. It'll save $5,000 a year.
Wow.
But but if we then expanded that, obviously we've got like nearly 200 machines. But if we expanded it to other sections, we can start saving on tooling as well, and the tooling saving is $10,000. So I'm hoping this will be a good one.
Yeah, right. When you're speaking such, you know, like the expensive tools and each little saving has such big impact. It's those use cases are the best. It's the low hanging fruit. They can just.
It's largely like with our tools. It's like if we use it to death, the tool will chip. At which point it has to be reground to remove the chip. Now, if you did it before it chipped, you only need to do one regrind, and then you've got like 75,000 tool uses. But you've only got 5. You can only do that 5 times before there's no more tool left. Whereas if it's chipped, you have to take off it twice or 3 times. So you're saving like a couple of 100,000 tool parts that can be made by that tool. So you save on the tool usage, you save on the regrinding, the scrap, everything that had been made with that tool when it was chipped, it goes in the bin. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, and it sounds quite simple. I mean, it's just like a matter of getting data from Kepware into Tulip, and then within Tulip, it's quite easy to process the data and display it for the operators to kind of like you're saying, if they come into the new shift, know when's the time to change the tool.
Yeah, they're gonna change the tool, press a button, so they've changed it. It resets the counter, and and then away they go. And then when it reaches 100%, well, when it reaches 90% again, it starts flashing red at them again.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we can definitely help out once you start building that out.
Cool.
But simply, yeah. Okay.
So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, it's yeah. Actually, I've been thinking of, machine monitoring is one of those things that's a little bit harder to cover in office hours, just because I don't have a machine here in my house, so it's it's a little bit.
Yeah. No, I've thought about, for testing, I'm going to get an Arduino board and just kind of have it, instead of blinking a flashing red light, just sending a signal, dun dun dun, and then I can.
Yeah. You can. Yeah. You can also do this one here. So the machine API that was released not too long ago, and I don't know if you had joined that office hours when we covered it, but basically you can set up a machine API, which is just like a URL that you can make an HTTP call to with some parameters, and then you update it. Let me see here actually if I have it running in Insomnia, because I can show you real quick if I do. Yeah, so here, for example, now, yeah, perfect. Okay, so what's happening here is, I've connected to the machine attributes, and I'm reporting new attributes, sending these two attributes, which are the ones listed for this machine, which I configured. If I want, I can go ahead and say, okay, I want another one, status 16th of April, something like this. Yeah. See it here. I don't know what I did wrong. But anyways, you can just send the parameters from any REST service, and you'll see that they're reported within the machine here. Then you can kind of configure it, and you can use these outputs in your app. So if you come in here and you open up the app, you can say basically, okay, when the machine demo machine API outputs, let's just say a part number, then we'll show message machine output part number. Perfect, something like this. Now if I open up the player over here, if I go send this, you'll see all the the triggers are being processed in the app itself. So I think it's a good way, like before you start getting Kepware data into Tulip, to at least get familiar with how it works once the data starts coming to Tulip, and what you can do with it within your apps. Oh, I think you're on mute.
I will be playing with that later.
Yeah, I think it's quite good actually. You can do a lot of cool stuff with it. Yeah. Okay, awesome. If there are any other questions, wish everyone a good weekend, and I'll follow up on a couple of these topics, and then we'll speak next week.
Cool. See you later.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you. Bye.